So a lot of people are talking about the CNN report that showed a statistic of the votes cast this midterm 2026 compared to the last midterm in 2022, where 67% of the votes cast in 2022 were Republicans. This time around in 2026, 57% of the votes cast are Democrats. So we're looking at a significant shift. And the last time this sort of differential was in 2002 during the Governor Ann Richards era of over 20 years ago.
In Texas, primaries are March 3rd. That's next week. There is a really interesting phenomenon happening, though, among who is voting. Let's get to CNN Chief Data Analyst Harry Etten. We're not even exactly talking about the candidates here, which is why it might be even more important.
No, mind blown, to quote the show Blossom Joey. Whoa! I mean, look at this. Okay, share of Texas midterm primary ballots at this point in the cycle cast in Democratic primaries or Republican primaries. In 2022, the last midterm, overwhelmingly, the votes were being cast in Republican primaries, 62%. But look at what's going on now in the 2026 cycle. More votes are being cast on the Democratic side. What a shift from where we were 4 years ago at this point. More people in Texas picking up the Democratic ballot.
More Democrats are voting in Texas than Republicans. I mean, how unusual is that?
Just how unusual? Well, you see the massive shift from 2022, but look at history. Go all the way back. When was the last time that more people actually picked up a Democratic ballot, cast a ballot in a Democratic primary in Texas in a midterm? You have to go all the way back to 2002. So this could break an over 20-year stretch, my goodness gracious, whereby more people are actually voting on the Democratic side. And I will note, it really hasn't even been close since 2002. Overwhelmingly more people have been voting on the Republican side in Texas. And this year so far, more people are voting on the Democratic side.
This is different, very different with a capital V in this case. So we still have a few days to go here. What are the chances? What are the prediction markets saying about the chances this will stick?
Okay, so we're only really been talking about the early vote. But if you look at the Kalshi prediction market, what you actually see is the chance to have higher Texas primary turnout. Right now, the people putting their money where their mouth is actually slightly predict that there will be more votes cast on the Democratic side than on the Republican side, 60% to 40%, still a close race. But given that Republicans have been so outvoting Democrats in Texas, the idea that more people could actually vote on the Democratic side in Texas, again, as I said at the top, whoa.
And people are hypothesizing what that means. And I think it says what it means. You have the obvious thing is what's going on at the top of the ticket, that there's a very energized base of people in the Democratic Party. It was like, wow, especially the people that sat out. I always say this, if you follow me, that there were 90 million people that sat out the 2024 elections. That include people who were not happy with either candidate, leftist candidates who didn't like, the fact that Kamala Harris was part of a ticket that supported Israel. And you had, obviously, the MAGAs represented and Republicans represented 77 million, 75 million people voted for Kamala. And then amongst the people who just didn't vote, they just weren't motivated. They weren't activated. They just didn't, those people have woken up. And so a lot of those people, I think that shift is representing a lot of people who realize that their choice to sit out contributed. Because I've always said, Donald Trump won did not win the popular vote. Like, he didn't win over 50%. He's the only person to won, there's the United States, there's a popular vote and there's an electoral college vote. To win the popular vote, the counting vote, he didn't get over 50% of the votes. And Hillary Clinton, when she ran, she got over 50% of the popular vote. Both times Barack Obama got over 50% of the popular vote. Even, I think I'm going to say Al Gore might have got over 50% of the popular vote that he lost the electoral vote. And then, of course, Joe Biden got over 50%. Donald Trump did not. And in every single swing state that Donald Trump won, he did win each swing state, but 1 million people sat out. So he only won about less than 200,000 votes. That's not a lot of votes. And the 1 million people sat out represent like a quarter of those 1 million had actually showed up in each of those swing states. Just a quarter, we would have been experiencing a different thing that we're experiencing right now. So I think that's a big part of it, is that a lot of people who sat out realized their big mistake. Like, they part of contributed. Because there's one thing to blame the folks who maybe perhaps have been grifted and believed Donald Trump's lies. Maybe they actually did want punishment to all these people. They thought, punishment to the diversity, punishment to the people on the the crosshairs of the culture wars, including the trans community, diverse people, schools, universities, health industry, clean environmentalists, those people that this administration is punishing, that they could feed themselves would be those folks being punished. Like grants being cut, does that equal to you being able to afford your food prices or your childcare costs or the rising cost of housing if you're a renter? No, it's not. So I think some of those people realized that this was okay. The mass deportation now signs that you saw at the Republican National Convention were okay. Now you told us it was the worst of the worst. Now we're seeing that it's not the worst of the worst. And here's some statistics to think about. The uh, acting ICE director Todd Lyons appeared before Congress about a week or two ago, and he boasted that they had detained, arrested, similar, same thing, 398,000, something like that, people. And he said that of those 398,000, they had targeted 7,000 gang members, 1,400 people who are known terror organizations or terror cells. That's 2%. So you're arrested, and a representative from Texas, actually, Julie Johnson said this, and she said, you're saying for you targeting 2% of the people. So you 98% of the people that you terrorize who have no criminal background, who have no removal, or who are children, who are just people just living, our neighbors, for 2%. There's another stat that said about 4,000 people were arrested, or there were 4,000 folks that they were proud of. They're boasting this 4,000. So all of that destruction, all of the terror, the loss of life of 2 Minnesotans, plus more if you count all across of detention, or if you count Keith Porter in Los Angeles, the off-duty officer, if you count the motorist, I forget her name, I don't forget her name, sorry, in Georgia who was hit, if you count Severio Gonzalez from uh, Chicago, if you count all those people who are harmed, the lactating mothers who were engorged because they were detained and taken away from their babies, and all of the pregnant women, and all of the 3,800 kids in custody, you count all of those people, it's a lot of cost. The detention centers, I heard a Rhodes report that they said we're overpaying for detention centers because they have all this money, so they're overpaying. It's just a massive grift. This is a massive corruption. It's a massive waste of time. You think about all the class action lawsuits. You think about all the people that are going to be suing and going to be collecting, all the lawyers that are going to be paid for. It's just been a massive, inefficient waste of time. And that is what the Trump administration accomplished. No governing, no reduction of people's prices. Donald Trump actually called affordability a hoax at a time when you have people who are 22 states in recession. People are struggling to people can't find jobs. The unemployment rate is up. People are struggling to put food on their table, and this man goes in front of the American audience and say, "We're in the golden ages. Your stock portfolios are doing well." So he's only interested in those people stock portfolios. Pam Bondi told you the Dow is 50,000 points. That's all they care about. So you're boasting about the Dow. You're boasting about Donald Trump says, they said about home prices being low. I want the home prices to be up. I'm only looking out for the interest of people who are investments, who are interested in their home prices up. Not the folks who are trying to purchase homes, not the people trying to stay in their homes. He's only interested in the people who invest in homes, the stock market, the portfolios. He's boasting about kicking people off of food stamps. He's boasting about massive tax cuts to the millionaire and wealthy. So that is why people are saying, you know what? All of this, no more. And people are rushing to the polls. I think that also I want to credit the Democrats in Texas and other places that are activating the people who normally aren't activated. Like they traditionally and systematically ignore the low income people. They traditionally and systematically have ignored the young men and young college age students. We know how that turned out. And yeah, so we know how that turned out. They came out, they voted for Donald Trump. What does it tell you about ignoring people that are more likely not to vote than would vote? And so I see there's an activation of the low income community, folks that are normally ignored, and people who have a stake, who's seeing their SNAP benefits go away or risked or threatened. We see people seeing their the prescription costs. Ask your elderly relative today. Ask your mom and an uncle what's going on with the prescription costs right now. The only time that Donald Trump's make an effort to do something is if his name is attached to it. You saw the announcement of the what is that thing called, the Trump RX. First of all, he says I didn't want. He's trying to get off. He's trying to get Obamacare. He's trying to make fetch happen. Trump RX is nothing but good RX. There's like 5 or 6 other exchanges similar to that, and actually better, because Trump RX only compares certain name brands. They don't even compare generic goods. So you're going to get a better price on good RX. So Trump RX is nothing. So all they do is take away. You saw that J.D. Vance just says he's taking away the Medicaid benefits. They tried to take away SNAP benefits. They're boasting about taking away. They attempt to take away Meals on Wheels. Head Start, what else? All the programs that benefit people, Job Corps. So all of the programs that benefit the government that help people, clean air programs, deregulation. Donald Trump boasted about cutting regulations that cause clean air. He only is interested in the business community. You saw the health MAGA go crazy because he's putting back a really dangerous substance back into the food chain because the business community pay him said put it back. So all of them, health MAGA, Latino MAGA, the Cuban American MAGA, Venezuelan MAGA, Texan Latino Republican MAGA, or Texan Republicans. Y'all, everyone's FAFOing. And so that's why you see this massive shift in Texas, because people are just like, oh no. It's the Texans who might have voted for Donald Trump the first time, but they're shifting because they're seeing that they're at risk now. They're not safe just being a born Hispanic, Latino American. Donald Trump's DHS is coming for them and their family and friends, and they see it. And so they're like, okay, we got to get rid of this guy. He's not the one. So that's my explanation. That's what I think. Let's discuss below. What do you think about that poll and what it means?